This podcast is part of the Gonna Geek Network. The opinions expressed may not reflect those of other podcasts or affiliates of this show or Gonna Geek. Check out other geeky podcasts at gonnageek.com. And get ready because geekiness commences in 3, 2, 1.
Okay, good. Now we're going. So now I can record how great of an idea this was.
I'm not starting until I pour my cup of coffee.
Yeah, I've got coffee going too. Coffee talk.
Let's talk. Coffee talk in the morning.
It's pretty great though, actually. You know, I don't mind the like recording with a cup of coffee.
Should we talk about like sex instead of what we usually?
Is that what you do in a morning show?
Have you seen Kathy Lee and Hoda?
What's a Hoda? I don't know what a Hoda is.
I think it's
if it's about sex, is it some sort of sex toy thing?
It's an STI, I think.
An Eskimo?
A Hoda. A Hoda. You need to get it checked.
Oh, you got to get your Hoda checked? Man.
Yeah.
I don't want any problems with my Hoda. That actually sounds like a bad thing.
I always check my Hoda before I drive a car. You have to look under the car and check the Hoda.
Okay, I think that's probably a good idea.
If the check Hoda light is on, then you're really in trouble.
So Kathy Lee has a sex toy called a Hoda, and you're supposed to check that before you drive?
Kathy Lee Guyford.
I don't even know what we're talking about anymore.
Hello. What is this, episode 59?
I don't know what episode it is. Does it really matter at this point?
It does, because you have to number the file that you send me so that I can put together an episode.
Eventually, I'm just going to stop doing that, though.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
I'm just going to say newest episode.
Oh.
And then like, the next week, it'll say newest episode.
All right, whatever. Well, listener, this is probably episode 59 of Unqualified Gamers. I am Cody, as you know from last week's atrocity that was me trying to do an episode by myself, kind of, but not really, because I feel weird doing an episode by myself because we're called Unqualified Gamers, which is plural, and thus I'm not qualified to do an unqualified podcast by myself.
You are pretty good at talking to yourself, though.
Yeah, you didn't listen to it.
I'm assuming you talked to yourself for some of it.
I talked to you for half of it. I made fun of you a lot.
That doesn't even make any sense, though.
You don't even make any sense. You didn't. The listener. Okay, so if the listeners are, this is Zipside the morning show. Don't even know how to form a word.
Boop. Yeah, I got the sound effects. It's good.
Thank
you.
you.
Listener, we're recording for like maybe the first time ever, right? First time ever in the morning. Which is that?
This is the first time we've ever recorded. What's your name, John?
It's John. We're recording for the first time ever in like the morning, which I actually might be a little more energetic in the morning than I am at night after I've worked for a long day. So
yeah, you're hyper right now.
I'm actually pretty excited. Well, I'm well caffeinated.
Oh. Well, the next time we record at 9 p.m., just drink a pot of coffee.
Oh, that sounds like a great idea.
It does. That's why I had it. What was I talking about before you said your name?
The last episode where you were talking to yourself? Or me?
The last episode. That's Dre, isn't it?
I don't know. I believe that's the next episode.
Oh, so you're saying you forgot. You forgot about Dre.
I don't even know why I do this with you. Hey, you wanna actually like start this thing? Should we start?
No, because I'm fucking making coffee.
Oh my god, how long does it take you to make coffee?
I don't know. Hold on. No.
Holding.
No. There you are.
Still holding.
Oh, what the you Google Plus not resizing correctly.
Google Plus? Is that like Google Glasses?
All right. Oh, what? Oh. Whoa. All right. Hey guys. It's time for another exciting episode.
Animal and the penis in the morning.
What is?
Are those?
That's what's happening. Is this is becoming a morning show.
That's right. You need to add some really horrible like boing 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 sound effects now and boop.
Hey, crazy guys! We're the unqualified crazies. Boy, we're here to lock and load your tip top to the capital.
It's not. Let's seriously not have a podcast like that. I can't.
Let's.
I can barely deal with you normally, so
It's
that's.
bad enough as it is. It's bad enough as it is. So hey, it was Valentine's Day weekend over the weekend,
It was.
and I
Doesn't the internet dub
I-
it kind of as Forever Alone Weekend, and then you get just a bunch of memes everywhere?
is that what they call it? FAW, Forever Alone Weekend. FAW is the acronym for
No,
that.
no, I just made that up. But isn't that kind of what it is? I mean, isn't that?
I don't know. Will not be. I don't know. Well, you know what? Let's find out by polling our listener. Because what I want to start with this week, since you were gracious enough to not care about the listener last week, I want to put them first and talk about what they've been playing over the weekend, and then get into our stuff.
No, I think that's good.
So, what did our listener do this weekend? First of all, I shared the eternal Valentine's Day poem from Symphony of the Night. Blood is red, holy water is blue, but enough talk have at you. It's not really.
It doesn't sound very romantic.
Well, it's from the game, but it's not from the game, is what I'm saying. Anyway, Miles. So over the weekend, Miles was going to play Minecraft and the new Last of Us DLC. Hooray for video games taking the place of my social life. Haha. So I'm guessing no Valentine's Day plans. That sounds good though. I've heard it's only 2 hours long, so I may just watch it on YouTube. Is that weird?
I don't think it's weird, but really, I actually kind of like that length as a DLC add-on. Like that.
For $15?
Well, I mean, what was your favorite game, Gone Home? That was like 2 hours for like $20.
Yeah, and Gone Home was garbage, and it was a ripoff, and there is no reason anyone should have ever had to spend more than $5 on that game.
So, $15 to me seems reasonable if it's a good DLC. To me, that seems reasonable for that.
Okay, I disagree. I mean, Last of Us was my game of the year last year. Don't get me wrong; it was really good storytelling, and yes, some people would spend $10 or $15 on a good movie ticket, and I get that. Like it is comparable, but for some reason, when it comes to the video game entertainment medium, there's just too many cheaper options. I don't like the idea of $15 for just a couple hours.
I guess. Okay. But
I'm also cheap.
Not right. See, I'm not at the point anymore, really, in my life where there's necessarily a time. Like, I don't care about length of games so much anymore because the commodity that I have now is time. So, like, I don't want to. If a game's really bad but it's 80 hours long, that's not good to me. Right?
Oh, you're quality, not quantity.
It is kind of what it is, though. I mean, that's kind of what it is.
You're what it is. Now what?
Sure. I guess I can't really argue with that.
No, you can't, because it didn't make sense. So there's that.
Right.
Well, anyways, isn't a word. I would like to. I think I'm gonna watch it on YouTube. Didn't you say you've watched through a Let's Play of a game or something?
I have watched through a number of games as Let's Plays.
Right, so I may actually do that.
And for a game that you know that you're never going to buy, for instance, for me, it was...
Metal Gear.
Wow, I literally just completely... Oh, Deadly Premonition. How could I not think of that name? Deadly Premonition, which was this kind of like cult classic weird game that was kind of in the vein of Twin Peaks, the TV show. And it was really entertaining to watch a Let's Play of that, but it looked like a game I would never want to play by myself because of how horrible like the mechanics and stuff were. But it was really entertaining to watch as a Let's Play.
All right, cool. Okay, well, in any event, good on you for... Hold on, I have to scroll back up. Miles, for playing The Last of Us DLC. I'm sure it's really fun. I know it's really good. I'm just cheap. That's the moral of this story. Vintage Gamer Charlie, yesterday my friend and I beat Mega Man and Bass. And then in parentheses, well, technically he beat it and I watched in disgust. The problem was simple. Just because it's a Mega Man game doesn't mean you used Mega Man. LOL, but other than that, done some post-game boss slaying and farming in Final Fantasy 13 too. Hi-yo! That's the sound effect we make for Final Fantasy 13 2 references,
That's
John.
that's our game.
That used to be our game. We used to talk about that all the time. And I've mentioned Mega Man and Bass the last 2 weeks when Vintage Gamer Charlie mentioned it, how atrociously difficult it is. And yeah, I would watch and disgust if I had to watch somebody beat it too, because it's stupidly hard. So I won't get back into that. Justin, more Bravely Default, gonna download Earthbound on the Wii U and finally play that for the first time amongst a Valentine's Day opera gig Saturday and Game of Thrones dinner Sunday. Who needs love anyways? True dat, boy ye. Game of Thrones isn't back until April though, is it?
I don't know. I don't really watch the show on. I don't have HBO.
I don't, but okay. But my friend just shared a trailer and it doesn't come back, so I don't know. I guess it doesn't need to be new. Maybe it's like a book. Maybe he was gonna make dinner and then put a book on one side of a candlelit table, and then eat a romantic meal with a physical book. Maybe.
Or maybe he'll just eat the book.
Maybe he'll eat the book. And that's cool that he got Bravely Default. I'm guessing the full game. Did you play the demo yet?
No.
I started it, and I'm gonna sound really, really, really dumb for saying this, but it's hard. I've died 3 times.
That's great!
We're talking within the first, 2 battles. I'm bad at it. I'm very bad at it. But I can tell from the outline of the way the game is structured that I would love it if I were not terrible at it.
I believe you can get better at games as you play them.
So I'm going to rage quit that for a while and go back to Pokemon Y and then go back to the demo. But we talked about how the demo is storyline in addition to the game?
Yeah.
So if you complete the demo, you get permanent in-game bonuses that carries over for when you get the actual game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's 5 bonuses. They're 5 or 7, and it says at the start, they're if you complete the demo, there are up to 5 or 7 bonuses you can get, and those will carry over to the full game. They limit the amount that'll carry over to the full game, so you can't power level to 99 and then carry it to the full game. But you can get certain things, and it'll give you certain items, and those carry over, so that makes the start of the full game easier.
So I'm thinking that Bravely Default will be a good game once the baby comes, because it'll be on a handheld system that I can just kind of easily close and open again. So yeah. I'm thinking I'm probably going to be waiting until then to get it.
Yeah, I think the demo, you mentioned this before, that you thought the demo was cool because it's not the main story, it's additional stuff, but the bonuses for me, that's the same thing. So play through the whole demo, and then if you hate it, then you don't have to.
That's exactly right, and I'll probably start with that before I go on to the regular game. But it's definitely something I'm interested in, especially with all the buzz about it. There's a ton of buzz about how it's one of the it's really progressive in terms of JRPGs. Did you know there's an encounter slider and you can literally turn off the encounters if you want to?
What?
Yeah,
No?
How cool is that?
Well, what I was noticing is awesome is you can fast forward through the battle animations. So it's turn-based, so it's one of those RPGs like Final Fantasy X where you input your party's commands.
Yeah.
And then it runs them all down. Like Final Fantasy III, I guess would be a better example, the original Final Fantasy III.
Yeah.
Or the first 3 in the series. But yeah, you input them all, and then you hit go so that you kind of activate, so then they all go or whatever at the same time. And you can fast forward through that so that you don't have to just sit and watch all the animations. Because that's one of the biggest drawbacks of playing quote unquote old school RPGs is just sitting and watching the battle animations for sometimes.
Yeah, well, like I said, there's a lot of really supposedly progressive ideas, like how we're talking about a game that neither of us have played. But this encounter slider is one of the coolest things to me, because if you're in the middle of a dungeon and you're running out of resources and stuff, you can just turn off the encounters if you want to go fight the boss. The thing is, the bosses are all going to be set levels, and so if you turn off encounters, you're obviously going to be completely underpowered when you get to bosses. So
right.
you have to, but you can also turn up the encounter rate if you want to grind levels. It's really cool. The ideas are that's really neat.
Yeah, no, I'm surprised that wasn't in the tutorial though, because I ran around the field for 15, 20 seconds when I could have hopefully gotten in a battle sooner.
Oh, and you can summon your airship from anywhere when you get access to it.
That's cool.
How is that not a thing that? Yeah, that should be in everything. That's great.
It does seem really cool. No, the graphics are awesome, by the
I mean,
way.
they're Final Fantasy 9-ish, right? That's what I've heard.
Yeah, but it's the 3D effect. The 3D is really well done. Like, really, really well done. And, like, the first town you're in is just so visually impressive. And it's on the 3DS, so it's handheld, but it's like, legit, like, visually impressive.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I really am.
Yeah. So, yeah, good on you, Justin. I hope you enjoy that. Matthew is playing Anti-Idol, a fun Flash game on Congregate with a K. Do you know what Congregate is?
It sounds like some sort of social media site.
Interesting, okay. Also, Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and I will likely squeeze in some Minecraft. Is Black Flag the patriotic one?
No, that's 3.
The colonial
That's
one?
Assassin's Creed 3. 4 is the one where you're a pirate.
A pirate.
Yep, that's what I said, a pirate.
Jamie is playing more Bravely Default, the new Last of Us DLC, and maybe some of the new Steel Diver game Nintendo put on the eShop. Steel Diver?
I think it's a 3DS game of some kind.
I don't know. He said the free version is actually a lot of fun, and he's got to check out the multiplayer. Okay. I don't know what that is. I feel like I read something about it somewhere, but I didn't get it.
I think it's an AR title, if I'm not mistaken.
Augmented reality?
Yeah, but I'm not sure. I could be totally making that up, but I think that's what it is.
Okay. And Christopher said, this weekend I played Mario Picross, Super Smash Bros. Brawl with a... This weekend I played Mario Picross, Smash Bros. Brawl with a lot of my brother's friends, and since I discovered mods in Minecraft, I did a modded survival with the Pixelmon and Morph mods.
You don't know what any of that means, and neither do I.
We need to play Minecraft.
That's a hole that I can't go down that hole. There's no way.
You played League of Legends.
Here's my plan. I am going to raise my son to the age of 7, and then he is going to educate me about all of the stuff that is Minecraft.
Oh, is that it?
He is the demographic that game is made for.
I actually went on a date with a kindergarten teacher.
It could have been an awkward start to that story. especially after last week's party.
And I asked the kindergarten teacher, no, she's actually in her mid-20s. I went on a date at some point in time with the kindergarten teacher, and I said, do you know all these kids shows? Like, do you have to know what's cool with the kids or whatever? And she goes, I have no idea. All they ever talk about is, she said there were 3 things that was all they talked about. One was something I'd never heard of, one was something I never heard of, and the third was Mario. Oh, iPads. It was iPads, and I have heard of iPads. It was some TV show on Nickelodeon I've never heard of, iPads, and Mario. So I was like, well, that's cool. Mario, kicking it old school.
Yeah, iPads, touch interfaces for kids, from what I understand, are just insane. Like,
are you gonna get an iPad for your kid when he's like 2?
Hell no.
So he doesn't know that when you open a magazine, you can't actually slide the pictures on the page?
Hell no.
Really?
No.
Good. I support your decision.
No.
Yeah, I think kids are getting them too early. Like, I'm not giving my kid a cell phone when they're 7. Like, why? I guess maybe it'll make your life easier.
You know, they got those
I guess
phones.
I know nothing.
They got those phones where you got like 2 buttons, though. Like, if I'm gonna get my kid a cell phone, that's the kind I want. I want like the one where you press one button and it calls mom, and then like another button and it calls dad.
That's fair. And hey, I know nothing about parenting because I don't talk to girls, which is a prerequisite for having a kid.
You went to school with you went on a date with the kindergarten teacher.
I did. That happened. Oh, but my point in mentioning that was that you may not be hip to all the kid stuff, but maybe it's different for parents and teachers. I don't know. I just work here. I'm unqualified. Hey, there's our transition of the morning, kids.
Was that everything? Was that everyone?
That's what everyone other than us played over Valentine's Day weekend.
Right. Have you heard about this Twitch Plays Pokemon thing?
Yes, everyone.
Yeah, have you looked at it?
Everyone has heard of this Twitch Played Pokemon thing.
Such a clusterfuck. It is such... Like, I turned into it and I was thinking that it would at least be like a semblance of something that would be watchable, but it's not. It's not watchable. It's not watchable at all. No, because there's no like consensus in terms of how they're controlling the character. So it's basically just opening menus and moving around the menu and stuff. I have no idea how they've gotten as far as they have. I want to say the last time I looked at it, they had gotten like 4 badges or something. Which I don't even know how that's possible. So,
there are some theories on that. There are some theories. The theories are, well, first of all, when it started, it wasn't as big. There were only a couple hundred people. And, they got a couple thousand people at the beginning, so there weren't as many. And then the other theory is that when it's nighttime in North America, then there's a lot fewer people, so most of the actual progress happens overnight.
That is kind of a funny theory, and basically it makes North Americans sound like doesn't it?
Well, I mean, have you been in North America?
Have you been on the internet, is basically what you're saying. Their main Pokemon is a Pidgeot. That's like the Pokemon that they're using is a Pidgeot.
It's pronounced Pidgeot.
Pidgeot. The point is it's such a ridiculous concept. Like, I feel like, God, I know I may have said it like every week for a month now, but the internet is the weirdest place in the world. The internet is just the weirdest thing.
I will say, I mean, Twitch Plays Pokemon is one of the weirdest things I've ever seen on the internet.
It is so weird. It's so weird.
Yeah.
A fucking Pidgeot.
So I said last week that you had to go do real life stuff and
maybe have a baby.
Maybe have a baby, and
I have news on that front.
Well, I just wanted to say, the way I phrased it was, apparently John's wife's health is a concern in life, and I didn't mean it like something is wrong, her health is a concern. I just meant it like, apparently John has to help nurture another human being that he cohabitates with who happens to be pregnant. So, listener, I hope you didn't panic and think something was wrong. I don't think anyone did, but just on the off chance.
Yeah, no, nothing's really wrong, no.
No, nothing is wrong, and I didn't really imply it, but in case anybody thought I did, there you go. Nothing's wrong, but things have been intense a little bit, right? Like you're kind of like,
yeah, they definitely haven't, but there's a lot more kind of clarity, and there's a definitive end point at this point. So we got an induction date.
An induction
right,
date.
And what that is, for those of you who have never been through a pregnancy before and know nothing about it, is it's the day. It is a day that you and your doctor agree upon that they are going to start labor. Like that is the day that they are going to start the process of the hospital stay to have the baby. And they can do that with a couple of different methods, one of which is they actually break your water for you, and then another one is they use drugs they use synthetic hormones that your body produces naturally when labor starts, and they actually start your labor for you. So we have a date, and that is Friday. So the latest that this baby will come is Friday. If it comes earlier than that, it comes earlier than that. But he will be...
And the earliest is while we record this podcast.
That's right, well, we're going to finish first, because we got to finish the episode for our listener.
Right.
That is the latest that he will come, will be Friday, which is great, because it gives us an end date, which is the biggest issue right now. It's I feel like we have been anticipating going into labor for like 5 weeks.
Yeah, because your number one thing last week was you hadn't been sleeping because there've been a couple false alarms and a couple.
Yeah, I mean, I think altogether we've had about four-ish false alarms. We've only gone to the hospital for 2 of them. But that it's more just like the stress every day of thinking you're gonna thinking that she's in labor. So
yeah, I would imagine that's quite a bit.
But yeah, we have an end date, which is awesome.
And we're posting this episode Thursday, so literally, listener, by tomorrow. Well, if you listen the day this episode is posted, by tomorrow. Look, point is, by the time you listen to this episode, John will probably have a baby.
And we're going to assume that I probably won't be here next week either.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I'm going to be getting... I mean, you stay in the hospital for 2 days after the baby is born. So if the labor, for instance, takes through Saturday, I am going to be... I'm going to be in the hospital through Monday, even.
Right, and we record Monday night, so you'll get home and record with me.
So it's going to be a good weekend, either way.
All right, so I'm going to have to find a guest host for next week.
Yeah, but see, I'm giving you such a long length of notice. Like, this is, boss, I'm taking a day off. You fucking slave driver.
You're supposed to tell me 2 weeks in advance.
In advanced?
Yes, in advance. That's what I said. You heard me.
Okay, so yeah, super excited about that. That's kind of my update on baby time. So
this is Unqualified, a baby podcast for those of you just joining us for the first time.
that's right. But it was, Valentine's Day weekend.
VDW.
And I have a Valentine.
V.
It's my wife. It's not you. I'm sorry.
W.
But I still love you.
LY.
So my wife got me a 90-minute massage for Valentine's Day because it's been stressful. So it's like, here's something to here's something to de-stress.
That sounds very appropriate.
Yeah. So I went and got that, and I kind of forgot. It's been a really long time since I've had an actual massage, so I kind of forgot what that all entails. But you go to that like salon, and everything smells really good, and everything's like really softly lit, and they're like, "Can I get you some water while you wait and fill out this paperwork?" And I just felt like a total douchebag sitting there during that. I don't know.
Did you have a shot of wheatgrass?
No, there was no wheatgrass, but it was just, it felt really weird to be like pampered, right? I don't know. Maybe it's a guy thing. I don't know. It was weird. And then getting touched for 90 minutes is actually pretty nice. Like, it was actually very nice, but I forgot that you kind of feel like shit for a while after a massage.
Yeah, because of all the toxins or whatever, so sometimes you feel sick.
Yeah, and so the last time I really got a massage, I spiked a fever that night of like 102 degrees.
What?
Yeah, but it's because I didn't know that apparently you're supposed to drink like a ton of water when you get a massage.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. So the first time I didn't drink a ton of water, but this time I did. I drank just an incredible amount of water throughout the day, and I felt great, and I felt great that day. So I was like, I've also wanted to start exercising again. So a new gym just opened by our house, and it is literally within like walking distance from the house now. So I got a membership to that gym. Okay. And I started like a weightlifting routine, and I'm at that point now where I haven't lifted weights in maybe like 9 months. And so I did that thing where, there was a period of time where I was actually lifting weights 3-ish times a week, maybe 4 times a week for a good 6 months straight.
Yeah.
And that was a point in my life where I felt really good. And I was like, I remember doing that. I was good at that. So I started like this, I downloaded this app. It's like this generally agreed upon really good app for weightlifting, and it's got these different routines in there that are like full body routines, and I started that, and forgot just what it's like to start lifting weights again after you haven't done it in a long time.
Yeah.
And the following, I had that thing where I got done, and the whole routine took me probably too long. Like, it ended up being like 8 exercises, and it took me like an hour and 20 minutes to get through, which was probably my first sign that I'm a little out of shape. But then I got done, and I had that thing where I was in the locker room, and I was trying to take off my shirt, and I couldn't lift my hands over my head.
Yes.
So I had that feeling thing, and then I was thinking to myself, man, I'm in big trouble later. So the following day, I could not lift my arms to wash my hair in the shower. And I'm still at that point. That was on Saturday. I'm still at that point now where I am just in a tremendous amount of pain. And it's not like an unhealthy pain. I know if I've like I know what a strained muscle feels like or stuff like that. It's nothing like that. It's nothing that's like serious. It is just my muscles being like, "Hey, f*** you. Like, why would you do this to me?" Is kind of where it's at. So, that's kind of my thing. Since then, I've gone back. The main reason why I joined this gym again was because there's a pool there too, and it's a pool that nobody uses. So, and I love to swim. It's like my favorite aerobic exercise. So I'm swimming again, and that's super exciting.
Good for you. I can barely swim.
But
Barely.
but that was my non-video game related activity of the weekend.
And so on Valentine's Day, is that when the massage happened?
It actually was, yeah. It was on Valentine's
Okay,
Day.
so that was your Valentine's Day
It was.
thing. Okay.
That was my Valentine's Day thing.
Cool. All right. I actually did spend my Valentine's Day with a girl. She's not a girlfriend, but I spent it with a female who, get this, actually put effort towards ensuring that I had a nice Valentine's Day. And that's, I think, the first time that has ever happened.
I mean, does she have a significant other that's not you?
No.
Oh.
No, we are kind of seeing each other ish, but she's not my girlfriend. So, but she actually put effort into helping me enjoy.
So what'd you do?
Well, I don't want to actually get into any details. I'm sure the listener is thinking many dirty things right now. I'm sure you're probably wrong, whatever you're thinking, but I don't know. I don't want to get too into it, but she put forth an effort, and she kind of tried to make me feel like we were like, hey, we're two people that like each other. Let's do something nice for each other, and it was cool because any other year I've ever been dating a girl, it's just, oh, I'm going to spend $60 on flowers for you and then take you out somewhere or make you dinner, and then you are worthless. It's kind of what it's been historically. Sorry, ex-girlfriends listening to the podcast. That's just how it's been. So this was a marked change. Marked change. I saw an infographic last week, and all infographics are true because they're infographics.
And you typically find them on the internet, which also
Clearly.
makes them true.
Always true. I saw an infographic, and it was a breakdown of males versus females on Valentine's Day, and it had the percentages of males versus the percentage of females who like do something for their significant other on Valentine's Day. And men, it was like 70-some%, and women was in the 20% range.
20%? I find that really hard to believe. I don't think I've ever.
I don't.
I don't think I've ever not had a Valentine's Day where I've had something done for me.
But you have been with your wife for like 8 years.
It's been a really long time. That's true.
And she's awesome.
She is awesome. She's awesome.
She's really awesome. And I've met her once or twice. And I've met her several times. She's awesome. Legit. And I have had several different girlfriends, and this is the one, and she's not even my girlfriend. That's the crazy part. Like, no girl I've been in a relationship with has ever done jack shit for me on Valentine's Day. So it's like, oh, hey, you did something nice for me. Holy crap. Let's have a party.
I mean, I feel like that's the way it's kind of supposed to work. That's crazy to me that you've never had. That's crazy.
Yeah, well, maybe that's a reason why they're my exes.
Sure.
It was, but I had a really great Valentine's Day and spent it with somebody cool, so that was fun. And then the rest of the weekend, I didn't do anything crazy, like go to any college parties or anything, which is kind of sad. Kind of sad, really.
Yeah, no, that was a big weekend for you.
I know,
like college party weekend.
And actually, to end my weekend on Sunday, I watched the first episode of BBC's Sherlock.
And we all know you really like English shows because of how obsessed you are with Doctor Who. So,
based on your reaction, I'm going to guess you've never seen Sherlock.
Actually, is it BBC Sherlock? Didn't America come out with a Sherlock where Lucy Liu
Watson's a woman? Yeah.
Where Lucy Liu? Yeah. Okay. This is different though.
This is the British Sherlock. Have you? And I'm 100% sure you've not seen it.
I have not seen
because of your reaction. You've not, correct? No. Right, because anyone else I mentioned this to would freak out. Anyone who's seen the show is just like, oh my god, BBC Sherlock. Because last night I started watching it, and I was like, I know I'm going to get a response if I just tweet this. So I literally just tweeted the sentence, I just started watching the first episode of BBC's Sherlock, and 3 people favorited it. Like within 5 minutes.
I feel like English shows are the new anime of our youth, right? So there's this incredible fandom, especially with something like Doctor Who. Like the fandom is so strong and they're so passionate.
Hold on, I'm writing this down.
Okay.
Of our youth. No, I literally just wrote that down. That quote. English shows are the new anime of our youth. That's like really, really accurate.
Yeah, because there's like the fandom is so strong, and it's like if they get so defensive too, right? Like the people get so defensive about that particular genre of whatever. Especially anime is particularly bad. Where people are like if you don't like anime, you don't understand what makes it so good. And it's
Right.
like some people probably just it's not for them, and that's fine. But yeah, that's just like that's kind of the feeling that I get with English shows. Maybe it's because of all the Doctor Who fans that I've met and how incredibly attached to that show they are. And for me, it was just the show was just kind of meh.
How much did you watch of it, though?
Yeah, it's like 6 or 7 episodes.
Right, you didn't get to David Tennant.
Okay, so I don't want to have to watch 15 hours of something or play 15 hours of something for it to get good.
No, I think it gets good with Christopher Eccleston. It gets legendary and literally borderline life-changing when you get to Tennant. But I think Eccleston is still good. I think it's still a good show. And when you get to the last few episodes, it's like, whoa, there's a crazy roller coaster. But I think the whole first season's pretty good.
Okay.
I mean, that's how I felt about Dollhouse with Joss Whedon, the Joss Whedon show. Like, it got Foxified, so like the Fox network made him sex it up and make it like kind of your generic crappy action series for the first 3 or 4 episodes. And I knew that going into it, so I kind of like bared with the first couple episodes to get a little bit of good Whedon and mostly just Fox garbage. And then he just kind of lets loose with the script, and it's awesome. So, like, I don't know. I'm willing to sit through a couple hours, but Doctor Who, I feel like after the first few, it's pretty good.
Okay.
So I don't know. I would recommend watching it, but everyone I've talked to says Sherlock is like, of course, because no one ever uses hyperbole ever, especially not me. Literally never.
Yeah, borderline life changing.
Right. Right. It's like one of the best shows ever made, Sherlock. So I don't know how much you know about it, but every episode is about 90 minutes. It's like a full like movie length per episode.
Wow, that's a really long time.
Yeah, but season 1 is 3 episodes. Season 2 is I think 5 maybe. And they just started season 3, so it's not like there's a lot there.
Sure.
But if you and your wife need a movie night, and you don't want to watch a movie, but maybe just a 90-minute thing, Sherlock is good. It's very witty. It's very funny. I did have to turn on subtitles for 2 different scenes because Benedict Cumberbatch, who plays Sherlock, speaks so quickly and so Britishly that I didn't catch everything he said.
Is it like Cockney, or is it...
No, it's just British. It's just, but with a very heavy accent and speaking to your native audience who natively speaks your language. Like, the accent is strong enough, and he's
right. Your native language of English,
right? His native English of English. He zips through some dialogue, and I needed to grab subtitles, and it's fine. It's whatever.
Sure.
Lock. Do you get it? You said sure, and I said lock.
No.
Before I ask you what you've been playing, I want to talk about a video game related thing, which is not going to be a full video game thing. And what I'd like to do is preface what I'm going to say and spend an equally lengthy amount of time on the preface as the amount of time I actually talk about the thing I want to talk about. So, like, what I'm doing right now is vaguely describing what I'm about to discuss. And I would like for this chunk of time during which I am vaguely describing the thing I am about to talk about to be equal to or greater than in length to that thing which I am about to discuss. And I want to get your thoughts on that so that I have your thoughts on my preface to the discussion before I get your thoughts on the actual discussion.
Do you want my thoughts to the preface and then my thoughts on the discussion, or do you just want my thoughts on the premise?
The premise is not what I said. I said the preface. But now I'm going to spend at least 10 seconds talking about the difference between the words premise and preface. You know what's funny is it's like I'm acting like we need to fill time, but we don't. We're already at nearly an hour of recording, and yet I'm still rambling just to kind of like stretch the length of this podcast. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I feel so bad for our listener.
So, first of all, do you have a game to review this week?
Yeah.
Okay, before we talk about, we'll talk about your game first. But first, I want to talk about. I got Lightning Returns over the weekend. You don't sound very excited about that. It's final. Did you not get it?
No, I'm not gonna. I don't think I'm gonna buy it, man.
What is wrong with you?
What do you mean, what's wrong with me? Like, I think it's probably okay to be a little burned out on that particular series. I wasn't particularly enamored with 13-2. It was good, but I don't know.
But don't you want to know how it all ends,
No,
John?
13-2's story was horrible. It was horrible.
It was really bad.
It was so bad.
The story was okay. The ending was
Oh
terrible.
my god, that story was so bad and convoluted and stupid. Like, it's just, no, it's not. I did not leave that game thinking, oh my god, what's going to happen? I left it thinking, like, this is dumb. So, no, I don't need to see how it ends.
Okay, well, I pre-ordered the game. Well, first of all, did I mention this last week or not?
I don't know.
No, I don't know if I did or not, but so I'll sum it up. I pre-ordered the game from GameStop, and I got it Friday, but it came out Tuesday. Do you know how pissed I was?
How does that even happen?
Because GameStop blows. Because you pre-order a game and it's like, oh, we'll ship it the day before it comes out, but we'll do it standard mail, so you get it 3 to 5 days later.
They shipped it standard mail?
Yeah.
Why did you not just go
GameStop-
Did you really think people were going to sell out of copies of this game? Why didn't you just go pick it up?
Because I needed to. God, I'm so angry at GameStop because you can't pre-order from a physical location unless you go into the location.
No. Why even bother pre-ordering? Why not just go pick it up the day it comes out? No, they're not going to be sold out.
Because pre-order bonuses, John. Have you ever heard of a pre-order bonus?
Oh, you are the problem.
No, I am not.
You are the problem.
How am I the problem?
You're the guy. You're the problem.
If I can get free additional content, why would I not get that free additional content?
Man. Okay, continue with your story.
Yeah, GameStop gamed me. They systemed me. Because if you want to get it from a physical location and actually get the game the day it comes out, you have to pre-order it in store. I can't do it over the phone, which is bullshit, by the way. Because for me to go to GameStop on the way home from work, it basically adds an hour to my commute because I have to get off a train early, walk 10 minutes to GameStop, pre-order it, walk 10 minutes back, then wait for another train to go back up north. And that's before my transfer because I transfer from one train line to another. So it seriously adds about an hour to my commute, maybe a little less, but at least 45 minutes. So, yeah, I didn't want to spend an extra hour to go to GameStop to pre-order it physically, then go back, and then the day it came out, do the same thing to pick it up, because that's 2 hours of my time, and while I like free content, it's not worth 2 hours of my time free content. But no, I'm not. Yes, I guess I'm part of the problem or whatever. But it's Amazon's fault because Amazon didn't offer the same DLC. And this is the only reason GameStop still even exists and is relevant in any way is because of all their exclusive DLC, which again is total garbage because economy. So, but GameStop had the better exclusive DLC. So I pre-ordered it anyway. Yesterday, I started playing the game, and I got through the kind of first couple beats in the story where you kind of get acclimated to the story and the battle system and things like that. Then I got to the point in the game where I could activate the DLC. And then I went on the PlayStation Network, and I had internet problems yesterday because Chicago and because that's what happens. So I couldn't download the DLC. So last night, that's why I watched Sherlock instead of playing the game because I didn't want to get further into the game without first activating the DLC. Is that weird?
Yes. Yes.
I'm very particular about my games, John.
Yeah.
I'm also downloading the Japanese voice pack, which I'm very excited about.
I think that that's legit, and I think that that's a little different than needing some downloadable exclusive content, which is never. I mean, the game was not created with the anticipation of needing this downloadable content to be a complete game. That is why it is like additional exclusive content to these stores.
Yeah, but I need free stuff to enjoy a video game.
And this is why you are part of the problem. This is why you are the problem.
Well, whatever. Anyway, the Japanese voice pack is like 5 gigabytes even. So once that finishes downloading, I will delve further into the game, but I'll definitely be reviewing that soonish.
So what did you want my take on?
That was pretty much it. How do you feel about me? And you feel pretty bad.
You disgust me.
Yeah.
You disgust me.
All right.
No, we have such incredibly different like philosophies about how we consume video games. Like you are so interested in eking out every single bit of content out of every video game, and I am totally fine with not eking out every bit of content. And I'm totally fine with just putting down a game too if I'm having problems with it and just not returning to it.
I mean, I'm fine with putting down a game if it's atrocious.
Yeah, I'm talking about like even if I've invested, 50, 60 hours into it.
Well, I never finished Wind Waker HD because I couldn't get all the heart containers. So that was a combination of our two philosophies because I couldn't eke out everything. So I put it down.
All right. Point taken. All right, good. So what did you end up playing then? Because it sounds to me like you played Lightning Returns because you got it on Friday.
No, because Friday I was busy with Valentine's Day stuff, so I didn't even play it until Saturday?
Okay.
Or Sunday? Did I play it Saturday? No, I didn't play it till Sunday, because Saturday I went to the gym and I had all this other crap going on, and that just isn't worth even recapping. And then Sunday I played it a little bit, then did my radio show, which I do every week, and then got home, internet was down, watched Sherlock.
Sure.
So now it's Monday morning. I see it snowing outside, so I was going to go to the grocery store. That's not going to happen because after this recording, I'm probably going to go finish downloading crap and then play Lightning Returns for like 6 hours.
Okay.
So that's my at least tentative plan for right now. But no, the game I'm going to review this week is NES Remix, finally.
Okay.
Because I'm far enough to actually be able to review it. But I want to know what you played first, because that's what I want to happen.
Well, I did play a Japanese RPG that we haven't talked about yet. It's Final Fantasy.
Kuni Wrath of the White
Final
Witch
Fantasy 13-3 Lightning Returns.
Okay. It's actually Lightning Returns Final Fantasy 13.
Yeah, I know they didn't even put 13-3 on there, did they? I actually didn't play that game. So here's a fun story. I installed the new video card. Super awesome. I can tell it's a better video card because it requires like twice the amount of power that my original video card required.
More power.
So I installed that. Super excited about that. It makes everything look beautiful. But I had been like dabbling in this game called The Last Remnant for a while, and I had sunk about 30 hours into it before my computer took a and I had to get that new video card. And I have kind of taken for granted Steam cloud saving technology, right? Do you know anything about cloud saving technology?
Yeah, you save it on the cloud, which is
right, and then you kind of pick it up later, right? And so I've never had the problem where I've had to erase data on anything. And if I've ever changed computers and like played a game on a different computer, any of the games I've ever played have had cloud save where I would just pick it up, and it's awesome technology. And listener, you probably know about it, whether you realize you know about it or not. But basically, it just means that you save things on multiple devices without needing to save them on multiple devices. They take care of the saving for you. So I just assumed that Last Remnant had cloud saving technology. So I erased all the data because I had to reinstall Windows and everything, and then I went to pick up Last Remnant again, and it had wiped all of my data because there is no cloud saving for it.
Oh.
Yeah, and so I was a little disappointed, and I was like, I was really having fun with this game. I'm going to do this again. So I restarted the game, right? And it took me 65 hours, 70 hours to beat. So I've been like plunking away at this game for quite a while, off and on. And I'm finally ready to talk about it.
I'm glad you're ready to talk about it. I'm glad you reached that point.
That was it. I'm done.
So thank you for talking about it.
Yeah. So what did you play?
That's what you get when you listen to the Morning Mix, mixing up with John and Cody.
So anyway, this is a JRPG, and the reason why I was drawn to it was because it was made by the same. It was made by the same the same team that did Saga Frontier. It's a Square Enix game. Have you ever heard of Saga Frontier?
Yeah, I can't remember if I tried to play it once though.
So Saga Frontier and the Saga games are definitely not games for everybody. They are incredibly obtuse. Their mechanics are hidden from you. There's a lot of things that are not spelled out at all, and they're very open. Is kind of the general motif of how a Saga game goes. When I say open, like the original Saga Frontier had 7 different characters. Each character took anywhere from like 7 to 12 hours to do their story. And there were some characters that literally had like 2 story beats for their entire story. Everything else was just you exploring yourself.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about that game. I really wanted to play it.
So again, it's not for everybody. I actually found it incredibly fun. I have played through Saga Frontier. I have played through the entire game before, and that was really what got me interested in it. And I was the only person that I knew of when we were younger to actually play these games. So I've been kind of following the series and this team through the years. Their games got so obtuse that not even like I could enjoy them through the PS2 era.
Well, what do you mean obtuse?
It means I mean that like
greater than 90 degrees?
Yep. That's kind of exact. Yeah, sure.
I just wanted to make sure we're on the same page. So it was greater than 90 degrees.
I mean
that
their mechanics
terms?
are so hidden. They're so unclear that you almost can't, like, there are parts of some of the Saga games where like you can't. It's hard to explain. You can't even like plan. You can't plan what you're doing really. I don't really know how to describe it. So, for instance, there in Saga Frontier, you have no way of determining when your team learns new abilities, because you just randomly learn them as you're fighting. So like you'll
randomly, or when you level up?
It is quite literally random. There are also no levels in the original Saga Frontier, so you'll use an ability, and just occasionally during the fight, you'll like a little lightning bulb, right? The thing we plug into our electrical socklockets. Yeah, an electric bulb appears above your character's head, and then they just learn a new ability, and then you have access to that ability. So it is. I kid you not, it is random. So like there's a lot of luck involved there, but there's a system that's hidden behind the scenes that I think determines when you learn those abilities, but it is never explained to you. It is never made clear to you. It's just something that happens.
Did you ever look into it? Like, is there a game facts on it, or is
there is, and like the math and stuff involved is dumb. Like, it's not anything.
So there is an algorithm, but it is essentially randomness unless you're really good at it.
Exactly, it's completely hidden. So anyway, I'm getting way caught up here in the original Saga stuff, but that is the characteristics of a Saga game. So Last Remnant, made by the same team, and your traditional Japanese role-playing game is like a small team of people, right? And maybe like 3 or 4 or 5 if you're lucky to a team. You do like random battles, that kind of thing, right? This game is really interesting because the story is dumb and really nonsensical. It deals with like there are remnants, which are these things of incredible power. They're almost like Fal'Cie in Final Fantasy 13, where like they kind of take care of cities. Like remnants help cities support their people, and it's dumb. Like the story's really dumb, but the battle system is what drew me to it and what kind of kept me coming back. So the way the battle system is set up, you've got a team of up to 18 people, and they are split up into different squads, and your you can have up to 5 squads by the end of the game. You like get access to more and more squads and stuff as the game progresses. Um, but your squad has like a cumulative hit points that is based on all of the members of that particular squad. And all of the abilities of that squad are like they're the individuals in each of your squads have individual abilities. In the battles, you do not have control over what abilities get used directly. You'll get a list of 5 different options, and they'll be like, go for it, or attack their leader, or strike from the sides. And they will break down the abilities that each character is going to use, and it is random based on the characters that are in that squad. But you have control over your squad makeup, so you can kind of guide what abilities will show up more often by having the right members in each squad. Does that kind of make sense?
It sounds almost like Final Fantasy 13. You're kind of the conductor.
Yeah, a little bit. Only it's a little. It is far deeper than that.
Okay. So it's better, is what you're saying.
Not necessarily, but just because something is more complicated doesn't mean that it's better, right? So I don't know if it's necessarily better. It's more complicated. It's a deeper system. Because there's maybe 12 different ability types, of which there's like 9 different abilities in each of those, and different people that you meet have access to different abilities. Nobody has access to all of the abilities except for your main character, kind of like a standard JRPG trope. So there's a good team building aspect to it as well, right? Because you have to it is in your best interest to make the most robust squads possible. And that's kind of just the general outline of the game. So then you get into fights, and you get into fights where you're fighting squads of enemies, and it's the kind of game where every random battle can kill you.
Good.
Yeah, because you need to approach every random battle with strategy. Is basically what it boils down to. There's not a lot of button mashing going on, because if you do, you've got the potential to die in every battle.
And you like games like that. You really like that.
Well, I would like to play a game where I have to pay attention when I'm playing the game.
So not Final Fantasy 12.
Final Fantasy 12 is fun to me. For a different reason, though.
When my roommates watched me play that back in the day, I'd be playing it, and they would basically say, "Oh, so you're just gonna run around and let your auto combat kill everybody." It was kind of true, but that's another conversation.
Sure.
Anyway,
that's like the general structure of the game. But then you'll go into the battle, and you'll have to pick these things, and there are basically critical triggers, and it's all it is unabashedly QuickTime events. So it'll just trigger, and it'll be like, hit this button in this amount of time, and then another trigger will happen. It'll be hit this button in a slower amount of time. So there's a huge timing aspect to that. And again, it's unabashedly that, but it's because it just does that, and it doesn't try to justify it in any way. It's just like, hey, this is something to pay attention to, and you have to pay attention to it to fight effectively. It actually makes it better. It doesn't like change what your characters do on the screen or anything. It just basically does like a critical attack, and it changes the order of attacks for those squads. But it makes you pay attention to the combat. So your characters will randomly level up different attributes after the combat is done. There are no levels in the game. So it does behoove you to participate in random battles. That being said, enemies there is a system in the background that is leveling up enemies as you play the game. So they typically are continually challenging because of that. And so that's fun, because it keeps random battles interesting. The bosses can be incredibly challenging. But it's basically just the combat system that had me going through the game. But it's got these weird side quests that are there can be side quests that are really long. There's some really dumb Japanese role-playing game mechanics to some of the side quests. Like, there are different enemy sets for dungeons that you enter, and it only generates one enemy set when you enter the dungeon. And there'll be side quests where you have to have a specific enemy set to complete the side quest. And you may not know where that enemy spawns, like what enemy set that the enemy you were looking for spawns in a particular enemy set for that dungeon. So you may have to like go through the dungeon, realize that you don't have any of the enemy that you're looking for, and then go out and respawn everything, which is dumb, right?
Yeah, that's kind
dumb,
of lame.
bad game design. So there's some of that there, but and the battles take a long time. Like some of the battles, you'll find battles that are typically about 2 to 3 minutes long per battle.
Wow, yeah,
yes.
that's long.
Yeah, so they take a long time. So like you know, if you have to do 10 battles to get through a dungeon just to realize that you don't have any of the enemy that you're looking for, you have now used a lot of time. But that being said, the combat was always interesting, and the localization is really funny. So it does not take itself seriously at all. For this game with such like this dumb story where these remnants take over the world and like they're taking care of all of the population, everything. It could be this horrible. It could be Final Fantasy 13.
Oh boy,
far too self-serious, right? Like looking back on that game, it was dumb how self-serious that game was. This game is none of that. Like NPCs are constantly making dirty jokes and again, it just doesn't take itself seriously at all. So, it's got kind of like a fun sense of humor as you go throughout the game too. I really enjoyed it, and the combat system kept me. It is all that kept me interested in the game because the story is not that good. So if you are like looking for a Japanese role-playing game with like a mechanical aspect that's fun, if you ever played the game, and I know you didn't play this game, but it was a Tri-Ace game for Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, and I'm completely blank on this game right now. Oh, it's a game where it was a Sega published game. Tri-Ace made it. I can't believe I can't remember what it's called now.
Tri-Ace? I've never even heard of them.
Yeah, I know. They make some pretty interesting games though. Regardless, it had a very nonsensical story with incredibly fun gameplay mechanics. It's a lot like that. So it's all about the gameplay mechanics, about the team building aspect, not really about the story. But if that's what you like in your role-playing games, if you're more about the combat and stuff like that and less about getting a good story, I recommend the game. So yeah, that's kind of all I have to say about it. I could get bogged down in the mechanics incredibly for an incredible long amount of time. I promise I could, but I don't want to. But it's pretty good. I had fun with it.
Well, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and you've not beaten it yet, correct?
I did.
And how long was it? 70 hours?
Yeah, no, keep in mind, I did like all of the side quests. There's a lot of free content that was downloadable content on consoles, but it's free on the PC version. So, yeah, and if you're thinking about exploring this game, it was for Xbox 360. It was not for PS3. I lied. It's for Xbox 360 and PC. If you're thinking about getting this game, get it on the PC. From all accounts of everything I've read for this game, the Xbox 360 version it's too hard. It's way too hard.
What? How is the difficulty different?
Because they in the PC version, it's not going to make any sense when I explain it, but basically there are like filler characters that you can put in your party, and then there are leader characters. The leaders tend to have better stats. They tend to have more abilities and access to more abilities, and the filler characters are just kind of that. They're filler to increase the hit points and ability points of your squads, but they don't really add a lot in terms of like ability to your squads. Well, there was a limit to the number of leaders you could have in your entire party, like 6 in the Xbox 360 version. There is no limit in the PC version. So you can make your party, you can create your squads with a more robust set of characters in the PC version. And the PC version was hard enough to win for me as it was. So I can't imagine not having access to all of the characters that I did. So that's why. If you're thinking about getting this game... Oh, and this game goes on sale occasionally on Steam, listener. So again, it's called Last Remnant. It was a Square-published game. Get it for $4 when it goes on sale, because it will go on sale, and you can get it for super cheap. And if you're looking for like a value proposition, it's incredible in terms of value proposition. And the game's beautiful. It's the first, and I think maybe only game that was made with the Unreal Engine that Square has ever licensed. So one of the things, and this is a little insider baseball for something that we really don't know anything about because we're unqualified. But Square almost always, in fact, always up to this point, has made its own engine for games. So Final Fantasy XIII famously had the Crystal engine, which they spent forever making, and that's why Final Fantasy XIII took so long to come out.
Right.
When they had promised it. I think at one point they promised it as like a launch title for that particular generation of system. It took like 3 years to come out. And it's because they were working on this Crystal engine to make the jump into HD. Because they needed their own engine, right? And then even then the game looked good, but it's not like the most incredible looking game ever made, right? But this game, they licensed the Unreal Engine. So because they didn't have to make a new engine, they didn't have to dedicate nearly as many resources to like the graphical portion of the game. The game still looks great though, but it allowed them to have kind of a smaller team concentrating on other aspects of the game.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's just kind of a fun fact.
When did you have 70 hours to play through a game?
So it's a game that I've been playing over the course of like, I don't know, 3 weeks, like off and on. And when
it still seems like a lot of hours over 3
But when I'm not
weeks.
sleeping, right? Like, and I can't sleep, I'm up at night, then that's like 2 or 3 hours right there.
And when you're not eating...
I can eat and play games at the same time.
Well, hence, eat, play, game, your Twitter handle.
That's exactly right.
Look at that. Interesting. I had a question for you about this game, and it's gone. The question just left.
That's fine.
Because I'm looking outside because I opened my blinds a minute ago, like around the time we started recording, and the snow, it's snow everywhere.
Yeah.
There's snow. There's heavy snow
It's
outside.
blizzarding up here. Oh, you know what the name of that game was that I couldn't remember? It's called Resonance of Fate. What a dumb name for a game.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, what a dumb name. But
pretty sure you made it
Resonance of Fate, mechanically super fun game. Story makes no sense. Again, a story that doesn't take itself seriously at all. A bunch of really inappropriate humor in there, so it's kind of funny and fun. The story doesn't make any sense.
I feel like I just played an RPG that doesn't take itself seriously at all, and I can't remember what. Maybe you played it? I feel like I played it.
Maybe you're confusing yourself with somebody else.
I might be. I might be confusing myself with somebody else.
Okay, so what did you play?
NES Remix. I literally already told you that. It's like you weren't even listening.
Wait a minute. Did you play a game?
I've never played a game before.
So I think the very first question that I asked you, because you mentioned NES Remix, I think on the last podcast we did together, the very first question I asked you was, is this just a cash grab? And you said it was too soon to tell. So I'm going to ask you the question again. Now that you're playing it and now that you feel fit to talk about it, is this just a cash grab?
I don't think so. I don't think it's a cash grab.
Okay.
I would say I would give this game a 7 or 8 out of 10.
That's pretty high praise for a game that I didn't think looked good at all.
There's my review.
Listener, thank you for joining us this week.
Thank you for listening. Okay, we're done. No, it's here's, I've been thinking about how to talk about this game for several days now because I have very mixed feelings on it. I would play it and then I would finish and I would be like, okay, was I having fun playing it? And the answer was not a resounding yes, but I've gone back to it several times.
Now, to be fair, games don't have to be... I don't think that games necessarily have to be fun. I don't think Gone Home was a particularly fun experience, but I enjoyed the experience. A game like, from what I understand, and I haven't played it yet, Papers, Please, is not from what everybody says, there is like no fun in that game. But it is a very interesting game. So I don't think a game necessarily has to be fun. That being said, Nintendo doesn't really get by on their not fun games, right?
Right. In that, yeah. So
That's not their MO.
This game is not. It's not bad, but it is. Maybe it's. I don't know. It's so weird. Like, I literally don't even know if I like the game or not. I think I do because I keep playing it. Like, last night I couldn't sleep, so I turned on my WiiU gamepad and I just played while in bed in my bedroom, and I played a few levels and then I was done. And I don't know if that's the completionist in me because I want to beat all the challenges. I think I like the game. I think it's a good game. I think it's a fun game. I'm a little frustrated because there is virtually no crossover content as advertised in the trailer. So you remember we talked about there was that Flash game where you can play the Super Mario Brothers as the guy from Contra or Link or.
I mean, that was the whole promise of this game. It was
Nintendo
characters in other characters, but it kind of was. That's how they advertised it.
No, it's not. It wasn't. They didn't advertise it like that. They featured like a screen grab of Link, and they mix up some of the stages within different NES games.
Okay.
But they're not. That's not like putting one character into a different game is not a prerequisite for mixing up the stages and the games. So like in Super Mario Brothers, there's a remix level where it shows the background, all the like bushes and terrain as silhouette. Everything becomes just a silhouette, like kind of limbo like. And the enemies are also silhouettes, so you have to play through the stage as everything is a silhouette. There's another version where it's a kind of one of those like mushroom levels. I want to say a platforming level, but they're all platforming. It's a platforming game. You know, one of the like kind of sky levels where there's a bunch of tall mushrooms and you have to jump around on the different platforms, and there's a lot of pits. It's basically a giant bottomless pit, and you're going across the level. There's a remix version where every few seconds the terrain turns off, and all you can see is Mario and Koopa Troopas. So you have to like short-term memorize the terrain so you can get through it faster. So like those are the ways of mixing it up or whatever. But you're not playing as Link running through Super Mario Brothers or playing as Mario in Clu Clu Land or anything like crazy like that. The only instance I've seen is playing as Link in Donkey Kong, and all that means is you can't jump.
That's dumb.
It's dumb. It was very challenging, and because of the inherent randomness in Donkey Kong, because the barrels don't always fall down the same ladders and things like that, you have to kind of count on luck a little bit to beat the stage, and I was not a big fan of that.
Nope, that sounds pretty dumb.
Right. So, in terms of that, like, it wasn't what was advertised, and I don't know if it's Nintendo's fault or my fault for, like, thinking that's what was going to happen, is like, oh, I'll be able to run through Mario Brothers as the guy from Zelda 2. Like, I don't know whose fault that is. I don't love that they put the Link in Donkey Kong in the trailer. Obviously, they would because that's really cool in theory, because everybody wants to play a game as a different character, but like that's not what happened. The game didn't deliver on that. So if you're looking to play as Samus Aran in Mario or something along those lines, like look elsewhere because that's not going to happen.
Right. So
that said, the games themselves, the remixes themselves are pretty fun. So and I do want to mention this. How far away is your Wii U from your upstairs living room?
Oh gosh.
When you remote play?
I don't know because there's vertical distance, right? So maybe 100 feet? I don't know.
I mean, I'm sitting at my computer desk. I don't know where my computer is, guys. I'm sitting at my desk in my bedroom. And the Wii U is in my living room. My Wii U is maybe 30 feet away from me.
Okay.
With nothing in between. Like, my door is open. If I actually roll my chair back about a foot, I can't roll back quite enough, but because I have headphones on. But if I were to lean back, I would be able to see my Wii U. I have my gamepad in my hand, and it keeps losing the signal. I couldn't play from my bed without it losing the signal last night.
I tell you, it's got to be all of the different signals going on in Chicago.
I think it's because I'm in the city.
It has
I agree.
to be. Like,
yeah. And
that doesn't make any sense because I'm much further away. I promise you, and I can.
I know. I'm sure you. I mean, I've been to your place. I'm sure you are, but that sucks. That sucks hard.
That does suck.
I'm not happy about that. And it's not Nintendo's fault. I'm not breaking bad on them, but it sucks. It sucks that I'm in the city, and because I'm in a densely populated area with signals all over the place, I can't use remote like. I literally can't use it. I mean, I can use it on my couch, but that's in my living room, so what's the point?
Right.
I live alone. I essentially can't use remote play, and that blows.
That does blow. That like completely defeats part of the big purpose of that Wii U.
Yeah. So, again, I live alone, so it's not that big of a deal, but that really sucks. Yeah. I'm not happy about that. And there's not a lot I can do about it. I mean, I can't really rearrange anything. So, and like I said, I can see it. It's no more than 30 feet away.
Right.
I mean, it's right there in my living room. There goes door, and then about 5 feet of hallway, and then my living room. And it's at the far end of my living room, which is maybe 20 feet. Like I said, no more than 30 feet. And there's nothing obstructing it. No walls. There's an open doorway. Anyway, you get the idea. I've now said the same thing 8 different times. But that really sucks. I'm actually getting a new router because I need like a dual band.
You do. You need the higher frequency router.
Yeah, so I should be hopefully getting a bonus from my job in a couple weeks, and with part of that I'll be buying like a $200 router because that's apparently what I have to spend on one.
Right.
Which sucks.
I believe I've actually brought that up to you before. But regardless, what's NES Remix like?
Anyway, so back to NES Remix. Well, the reason I bring that up now is because I have the Wii U gamepad in my hand, and because I wanted to refer to it, I have NES Remix pulled up, and I'm trying to... It just keeps saying the connection with the Wii U console is unstable, so I won't be able to refer back to it much. But you're able to, right off the bat, play mini games from several different NES games, and then for each mini game you play, you can get up to 3 stars. And the more stars you get, the more new levels and games you unlock. So for each game, as long as you attempt a challenge, you have access to the next challenge for that game. So Super Mario Brothers, I believe, has around 23 challenges. So if you do the first challenge, no matter what rating you get, even if you fail and get a game over on it, no matter what rating you get, when you exit that challenge, the second stage in Super Mario Brothers is unlocked. And then you can play that. And then if you fail, no matter what happens, you unlock the third stage. So that's kind of cool, because if you really can't get past one thing, you can still at least play through the rest of one game. For every collection of stars you get, I think it's at first every 5 stars, maybe every 10 stars, maybe every 15 stars. For every 5 or 10 or 15 stars, or whatever the interval is, you unlock a remix stage. And there's Remix 1. There's 25 stages in Remix 1. Then there's Remix 2, which I thought would be much different from Remix 1, because why would they make Remix... Like, why would they separate them? There must be a difference. No, not to my knowledge. They're all just remix stages, so no real difference. And there is a lot of variety within the remix stages, but let's just say there's 50 remix stages, okay? And then... Beyond that, I think I'm at like 450 stars or so by now. I think after 300 or 350 stars or somewhere around there, you unlock, of course I have to reach for my gamepad to remember what this is. I think they're called bonus stages.
On top of remix stages? Bonus remix stages?
No, bonus stages are different. Bonus stages contain remix levels from games that don't really have a lot of remix levels. So, like, under bonus stages, there are bonus levels for... Oh, God, I don't even know the name of the game. It's some, like, really bad brawler game where you can just walk forward and punch. I don't even know what it's called. There's also remix stages under the bonus levels for baseball, like NES baseball, which there's no baseball category. So this is the only spot where you see baseball stages. Donkey Kong 3 has stages here. Tennis has stages here. So you get you get around to a couple of those games that don't otherwise have their own categories, and they're not previously featured in the remixes. Now, the games that are available are like overall. Again, you start with 5, and then not only do you unlock remix stages as you go when you get more stars, but you also unlock new games when you get a lot of stars. So you eventually will get Donkey Kong Jr., Mario Brothers, the original, Pinball, which is fun as hell, by the way.
Oh yeah,
like,
Pinball was great.
Oh my god, it's so fun. Like, unnecessarily fun. Golf, which the golf challenges are kind of stupid. Clue Clue Land, which is one of the hardest games I have ever played. Have you ever played Clue Clue Land?
I actually haven't.
I can't do it. I always hated that game for the name because it's the dumbest name ever, Clue Clue Land. God, it's so hard, John. The control, I can't wrap my head around how to control it because you're on a grid system and your guy is moving in one direction. And in order to change directions, you have to hold down, up, left, or right. But that doesn't turn your character. It grabs onto the corner of one of these grid lines and then swings you 90 degrees. So if I want to move down, then as I'm passing across one of the grid lines, I have to hold down, and then I kind of grab it and then swerve around at 90 degrees. But I have to let go and time it correctly, because if I hold the down button, then I'll just keep swinging around it. It's so awkward. It breaks my brain.
Okay.
I cannot handle Clue Clue Land. Excite Bike, which is awesome. Balloon Fight, which has the worst play control, second maybe only to Ice Climbers ever, which is like, the challenges are stupidly hard in that. Ice Climber, which is atrocious, but I'll get to that. Wrecking Crew, which is perhaps the easiest game ever made, and the challenges are offensively easy. Super Mario Brothers and Legend of Zelda. So those are the games. So there's a lot of games, and the remix stages are pretty cool. The remix stages, sometimes there'll be a challenge. This goes for both remix stages and individual games. Sometimes there's a challenge, and it's like, get to Donkey Kong while avoiding flaming barrels, and there'll be some like special kind of barrel, or Donkey Kong's throwing him twice as fast or whatever. So you complete the stage, boom, you're done with that. Other times there are 4 parts to the challenge. So it will be like, Excite Bike, land this ramp and land on your 2 wheels flat. Okay, so you drive, you land a ramp, you land flat, and then it's like, boom, boom, good. Okay, next one. And then it restarts you and then has you do a second ramp, and then it restarts you as a third ramp. So there's 3 or 4 parts to the challenge. So that is pretty cool. And in the remix levels, sometimes they'll mix it up. Like, sometimes part 1 of the challenge will be Super Mario Brothers. Part 2 of the challenge will be Legend of Zelda. Part 3 of the challenge will be Excite Bike. And they kind of have like an underlying theme, like maybe beat the end boss of 4 different games, and it's like a boss rush kind of a thing. So that's how they mix up all these levels. And then also NES remix levels have other challenges. The most stressful one is the Super Mario Brothers speed runs, kind of. Mario is automatically running to the right for the entire level.
So it's almost like an endless runner?
He's just endlessly running to the right, and you have to either get through the whole level, or kill a certain number of enemies, or get a certain number of coins. Incredibly stressful and challenging, because you cannot stop or slow down.
Huh.
I hate those challenges. There's one in one of the cheap levels where the fish are flying at you, you know, from under whatever.
Yeah.
So you not only have to like time it perfectly to where you're not being hit by them, but you're also having to jump and do the platforming correctly. Those are very, very stressful for me. But those are some examples of some of the things. Legend of Zelda, there's a boss rush one where you have to fight like 5 bosses in a row. That's kind of challenging. 5 or 6. Ending with Ganon, of course, who I don't understand how you beat him. I know you shoot the silver arrow at him, but like he's invisible for most of the battle. It's weird. So that's how that works. The weird thing in this game is the inconsistency of the difficulty of the challenges, and I think that's where I find it difficult to really like it. It's almost like there's such a huge span of difficulty that it's really hard to get a good handle on how I feel about the game, because some of the challenges are so they're so easy. They're not even like there's one that's in Donkey Kong Jr. Grab the fruit. You start under a vine, you hit jump and hold up, and you've grabbed the fruit. Like, that's the challenge. There's another one there are many like that. Like, there's one in let me grab this game. There's one in Donkey Kong that's jump over 2 barrels. And you start in the middle of the stage and 2 barrels are coming at you and you jump over them. And that's the challenge.
Okay.
Like, there's one in the Legend of Zelda. The first challenge is get the sword. You start at the start of the game. You walk into the cave and get the sword. Yeah. There's one that is buy the blue ring. So you start in that screen where there's 6 statues. You touch the statue to make it move. You go down the staircase and you touch the blue ring to buy it. That's the challenge.
That is hilarious.
Yeah. There's one for Legend of Zelda. There's a remix level and it's enter the cave. So you start on a screen where there's 6 of the blue horse guys. You know the blue horse guy you have to beat to get the white sword?
Yeah.
In Zelda. So there's like 6 of them, and they're tough enemies. But you've got like 12 heart containers full. You start on a screen where there's a cave and 6 of these guys, and it's get to the cave. Well, every couple steps you take, the screen gets blurry. Like more and more blurry and pixelated. So after like 8 or 9 steps, everything's like a big blob. But you know where the cave is, and it doesn't matter how much damage you take because you have so many heart containers. So you essentially move to the right and then move up, and then that's it. So some of them are just
That's so weird.
So easy. There's one in Mario, and it's like kill 10 enemies with the Koopa shell, and you start next to a Koopa shell. You kick it and run to the right.
That is just so weird.
I know.
What a weird decision.
And that's where it's hard to judge this game, because then there are other challenges that are incredibly difficult. And, so to get 3 stars, it's all based on time. So if you do something too slowly, if you take too long to complete the pattern in Clu Clu Land, or you take too long to get to the top of the icicle thing in Ice Climbers, then you only get 1 or 2 stars. There were several occasions where I was like, there's no way I'm getting 3 stars, and I got 3 stars. There were other occasions where I thought I did great, and I only got 2 stars. So I had to replay it to get the 3 stars. So the difficulty is so unbelievably inconsistent. I've completed all the challenges with 3 stars. I've perfected, I've mastered all of the games except for Ice Climber and Balloon Fight. And the remix stages and bonus stage. I'm kind of leaving those alone for now. But in terms of individual games, I've mastered all of the categories except Ice Climber, which has the worst controls ever. Have you played Ice Climber?
I haven't. I've never played it.
Oh my god. They're so bad. Like, jumping is offensively bad in that game. That's terrible. And the final challenge in Balloon Fight is ridiculous. You have to you have to get a perfect score, collect all these balloons while there's all these, tacks or flying stars flying around. It is insanely hard. I don't know how I'm ever going to get 3 stars. So, outside of those 2, I've completed all the challenges for all the other all the other games. And then the remixes are, they're just inconsistent in difficulty. One, I think, is just straight up rescue the princess in Donkey Kong. Okay, did that. There's some that are just really hard and some that are really easy.
Now, when you say inconsistent difficulty, are they inconsistent as the game goes on too? Like, will you get a really hard one and then a really easy one?
Yeah, absolutely. I skipped a few remix stages because I couldn't beat them at all. I couldn't even beat them. And I skipped 3 or 4 and then went to 1 and got 3 stars on my first try.
That's really weird.
It's so inconsistent. That's it's kind of good to have a range of difficulty. I mean, it's good to be challenged. I don't mind when it's difficult. It's just Yeah.
It's more that it doesn't have a gradual difficulty curve, right? That's because as far as platformers go, that's kind of like the hallmark. That's one of the hallmarks of them is that as the platformer, like as you get further in the game, it gets to be a harder game. It gets to be a harder
Well,
platformer.
within each individual category, the difficulty generally scales up. The remix category, I understand why that doesn't necessarily scale because there are different games and some of them I'm better at than others.
Okay.
Like Balloon Fight, I'm really bad at. So a Balloon Fight remix, I'm not going to do as well as a Zelda remix where I have to just beat 5 bosses
Yeah.
because I've played a lot more Zelda. So there's that aspect to it. And I would imagine that I'm better at some games than others. There's also certain games with fewer variables. Like golf, you aim a certain direction, you shoot a certain strength, and there you are. Like golf is much more controlled in variables than... I mean, obviously they're all pretty controlled, but golf, there's a little more like patience you can spend on things than like Mario, where you're running through a stage and you have to memorize the level.
Sure.
Like those running ones, you have to just do over and over until you've got the level memorized, pretty much. So, I think this game might be fun for speedrunners because you want to get the perfect score, the fastest score.
Sure.
You know, some of these challenges take 4 seconds. Maybe not 4. Some of them take like 8 or 12 seconds. Others take 40 or maybe 50 seconds, but almost all, I would say the average is 20 to 30 seconds across the game.
Okay.
So, you know, that's NES Remix. I was disappointed again at the low volume of crossover levels.
Yeah.
Worth
$15?
I would say probably. I mean, I'm cheap, so I would have rather spent 10. It's not going to rock your world or blow your mind, but it's certainly it's not bad. I don't think it's a cheap cash in. They clearly put some time and energy into it. It's just that in terms of consistency, it's hard to get one consistent read on the game. But if you're looking for a little bit of challenge, then it's not bad. I'm not saying it's a bad game. I'm just not. I just think that there's some interesting design decisions, and it's hard to it's just hard to review it. I guess I think personally. Now they just announced NES Remix 2. Did you know that?
No, they've already announced NES Remix 2.
Yeah, on Nintendo Direct, it's coming out next month. And one of the features of that apparently is that you can play all of Super Mario Brothers, except all the levels have been flipped horizontally, so it's going from right to left, and you play as Luigi. So you have extra jump power, and everything is backwards. And that's kind of cool. I mean, that's certainly a change, but yeah, I don't know. I'm going to have to... I'm not going to buy that. And they're also releasing NES Remix 1 and 2 in retail as a package together.
Wow.
I'm going to have to read the reviews on Remix 2 before I get it. I want a little more variety. So it depends on what games they include, and we'll see.
It does, I mean... So, it doesn't... It just... By hearing you talk about it... I guess I just expect more from Nintendo is my problem. It doesn't sound up to their usual level of quality when you talk about it.
I mean, if you liked these games, I don't...
I'm just so used to when a Nintendo specific property comes out, something that Nintendo is like a first party thing. I'm so used to there being just like this glowing feeling about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not used to this kind of apathy that's been going on with some of these more recent titles. And I mean, neither of us have played Dr. Luigi, but I'm assuming that it's kind of it'd be a similar feeling towards it.
Well, but again, if you're really in love with these NES games, I find some NES games to be stressful because they're very, Mario, I tweeted this at you, or maybe I texted it to you. Super Mario Brothers stresses me out.
Yeah, but that's not really my point. I mean, you can still talk about whether a game is good or not. Even games that you don't necessarily enjoy, people can generally agree that they are good games.
Maybe.
So it doesn't seem like there is as, I don't know. maybe I'm not describing the feeling well enough, but it just
No, you're not.
it feels like there is a general like apathy towards the quality of these games, of this particular game.
Maybe. I don't know. Like I said, I don't think it's bad. I'm just looking at it. I'm trying to formulate my thoughts on it, and they're not coming to me. I think I'm caffeine crashing, even though I literally just finished a second cup of coffee. Maybe it's because we're recording it early in the morning.
We're recording at 2 a.m. I made
2 a.m. when you wake up.
I made
generally.
you wake up at 2 a.m. to record.
Thank you for that. No, I think it's a fine game. I think it would be fun at parties. Like, I think it would be fun if I was playing it with a friend and we were just kind of handing it back and forth and trying the challenges together. I think that'd be pretty fun. Like, if our friend John from Russia was here, I think that'd be a fun game to kind of pass it back and forth where, like, you're trying to, like, really beat these challenges. Because some of the harder ones, that might be fun. But for me, like, I don't want to grind and in order to complete a challenge for a 30-second chunk of an NES game. Like, that's not fun to me. And I think the ones there are some that are a great amount of challenge. Like Clue Clue Land last night, I finally beat. I didn't spend that long on it, but the final challenge, I mean, it took me 5 or 6, or the second or third to last challenge took me 5 or 6 tries because I kept getting 2 stars. But then when I got the 3 stars, I was like, okay, awesome, I got the 3 stars. Very rewarding, very cool, and that was good. But some of the challenges I just think are going to be too hard to get 3 stars on. And then others, like I said, are just like a joke in terms of how easy they are. So, yeah, it's kind of all across the board. Maybe that's good. It probably, a lot of your enjoyment may be based on your ability as a player. If you're a really good NES gamer, maybe you'll find the whole thing boring. So I can't really say for sure, but I think like for a family, it might be fun to kind of sit around and it was fun to get a taste of all these games. Like I didn't realize how much I would love pinball. I may even get a Steam pinball game just like as a result of this.
Yeah, pinball's great.
I didn't realize they could be that fun. So I don't know. Not a bad game though. I don't want to give it a bad rap. I just think it does some things well, others not. We'll see how NES Remix 2 is, which, again, I'm not going to buy until I read a lot of reviews on it.
Right on.
And do you know anything about Donkey Kong 3?
For NES?
Yeah.
No.
What a weird-ass game.
No, I know nothing about it. I didn't even know there was one.
Yeah, you're some generic dude that's not Mario, and you run across the bottom of the screen with a bug spray. And there are 2 beehives, and you have to shoot the bug spray at insects and Donkey Kong.
It sounds like a fever dream.
It's really weird and trippy, and I read something somewhere once that's like Donkey Kong 3 is one of the weirdest like games in the franchise. But yeah, that was a while ago, and I had forgotten about it. And then I see this, and I'm like, what?
Yep, sounds like a fever dream.
I mean, but so is so much of Nintendo. I mean, Mario Brothers, you're a plumber that runs around the Mushroom Kingdom, and
it's kind of true.
Yeah, so there's that. I'm attempting to power down my Wii U. Oh, there we go. It finally worked. I had to hold power for about 10 seconds. Yeah, that remote play is rough. But anyway, so I'll be playing Final Fantasy 13 Lightning Returns this week, and you'll be having a baby.
I'll be having a baby.
So I'll see what I can do about next week and see if I can find some other unqualified gamer to stop by.
I'm sure you'll be able to find one.
Where am I going to... Who talks to me? Who is my friend?
Well, the internet is your friend. It's also your enemy, but it's also your friend.
It's my enemy if I'm trying to beat Pokemon on Twitch TV.
Apparently.
Like, do you think they'll ever beat it?
I think they will, just because there is a weird perseverance I think you can find on the internet, right? So I think that eventually they will. And that Pidgeot can do a lot.
It's a Pidgeot.
That Pidgeot can do quite a bit.
It's a Pidgeot.
So, as usual, listener, thanks for joining us. I'm sorry Cody had to be here today. But you know, he's part of this, whether we want him to be or not. So.
Yeah, subscribe to us on iTunes and on YouTube, or I'll cut you.
And you can write us a review on iTunes, too.
Do that, yeah. Unqualifiedgamers.com is our website, and we're very excited about that. So, go see us. Although I'm sure you went to one of those 3 places if you're hearing this. Unless you pirated this episode. I hope you didn't pirate this episode, listener. Did you go to Pirate Bay and pirate this episode?
Can I be the animal? Like,
on the morning show?
Is this Cody and the animal?
On the Unqualified morning show?
Yeah.
This is Cody and the Animal here in the morning talking about games. Not enough sound effects.
No, you need to throw a few in there, though.
No. Too much post-production effort.
Yeah, that's true.
Not gonna happen.
You're not very good at it.